So just like if your house is on fire, you gotta grab all your precious belongings. What happens when your culture's on fire? Because your culture's on fire. Ha, you know that, right? Okay. So culture's on fire. What you grabbing? What you grabbing, babes? What did grandma tell you to keep? What do you want to keep, babes? Because the question everyone keeps asking me is like, well, how do we stop the fire? How do we stop the fire? And my belief is that by resisting the fire, you just make it worse. It just fuels the flames, right? Because that's what we keep doing. We're like, oh, we got to stop it. And then we throw water on it and we don't realize it's a grease fire. And then it goes, and now we're like, ah! So what I'm saying is relax. It's on fire. You ain't stopping that fire, okay? It's on fire. Bunker up. Do the equivalent, the symbolic equivalent of boarding your windows and saying, what do I want to take with me? What am I preserving? What matters to me? What makes me feel alive? What makes me feel like life is worth living? I use the word meaning a lot. All the time. I say we should design technology for meaning. But what does meaning mean? What does that actually mean? Meaning represents a worthiness. We have lost sight of what makes life worth living. We think it's just money. We think it's just technology. We think it's clout, like social media clout, right? We don't really have a grasp on what makes life worth living. We're using symbols of meaning to experience meaning, but these are not really what makes life worth it. If you have some kind of emotional or spiritual maturity, you realize, oh, it's my health, right? It's my connections and my feeling of being healthily connected to my friends and family and loved ones. It's experiencing joy. It's knowing how to cope with tragedy and sadness, right? The reason why millennials created an industry out of adulting is, well, one, the world that we were expected to adult in is not here. So we're like, Mom, what do I do? I don't know. Because a lot of what Mom did is not even here anymore. And then on top of that, our exposure to the screen time, because we told ourselves the screens are an equivalent to social interaction. Well, instead of your teenager getting, speaking to someone at school, they're going to be talking to a pen pal in Australia, and it's most likely like some pedophile down the block. But anyway, right? And so we told ourselves like, oh, the screen is this, it's a magic box, and it's like in person, but like better. Obviously, we don't think that now, but when it was being integrated, you have to understand that was the bias. The bias was like the same kind of bias we have with AI, that this little magic black box is just gonna really improve our existing interface of our environment, reality. So a lot of us didn't mature. We adopted internet behaviors like liking, commenting, LOLing, all the cute shit that was cute when you were 13 to 16, right? You're still doing that. You're still using immature internet behaviors to navigate your life as an adult. These are internet behaviors and features that were created by other adolescents and young adults. 19 to, let's call it, 24-year-olds. We didn't think through any of this. We didn't think that the internet behaviors that we adopted as adolescents were going to be the same internet behaviors. And then on top of that, in the analog world, there were more barriers to entry to have access to adult things, like sex, like food, like shelter. Not everything had a button. Not everything had an app. You had to take skill, effort, expertise. You had to earn a lot of the things that adults get. If you were a millennial, well, you could just type in a few buttons and you could see anything you wanted to see. And there was no one there to protect you, because the bias was that you were actually a genius and you were studying the encyclopedia and you weren't, watching inappropriate things or talking to people you shouldn't be talking to or whatever. There was this bias that the internet was this encyclopedia and that we were going to get on it and become really smart. That was really the vision, which is so funny when you think about it now. Because it literally just dumbified us like that. Like, it just receded intellectualism. It receded like literacy. It just melted like that. Because it was like, oh, it's a book, but it's like a better book. And it just has infinite pages. And we're gonna put one in each classroom. There was actually a law passed in 1996 by President Clinton that required that each classroom needed a computer. Because the idea was that to compete on a global level, the children were going to need computers in order to be smart and outperform other nations. But they didn't know what the fuck was on those computers. They really thought we were just gonna read, but literacy went down. We don't read anymore, we skim. We stopped reading books. They didn't think about all the other competing media and the happy meal of media and communications that was actually on the screen. It wasn't a book. It's not a book, okay? It's a digital magazine that you can click with infinite rabbit holes and infinite places to go that honestly we shouldn't have had that much access to for our own health and safety. So, meaning is about worthiness. What makes life worth living? A lot of this technology has proven that people feel like life is not worth living. Self-harm is up, depression is up, anxiety is up, all of this is up, loneliness is up, literacy is down, any type of academia down. We are losing what makes life feel worth it. So you have a choice. What are you gonna do? First of all, what are you gonna do for your own life to make it feel worth it? But if you have children or family members or whatever, just you feel responsibility just as a human being, a part of this species, what are you gonna save, baby? What are you gonna save? Because the rest of it is melting. We are I picture us those polar bears they be showing on the ice caps that's just drifting away. We're drifting away. We've lost context of ourselves. We don't know how we work. We don't know how we work anymore. The people in charge of creating technology that every mainstream person is using have very little knowledge about human beings and cultural anthropology and sociology. They hardly have knowledge, to be honest, about business. We think they're amazing capitalists and business people. No, they're just power-hungry people with visions that they want to project on the rest of the world. They feel entitled, to say, oh yeah, this is going to be the workforce and this is going to be how the world works in 30. Well, who the fuck are you? Some guy who grew up in Silicon Valley? I don't give a fuck what you think about how the world should look. Who the fuck are you, bro? And that's my Brooklyn. I'm just who the fuck are you, bro? Relax, chill the fuck out. Because what are you even talking about? And we'll get back to you in a second, but in the meantime, we gotta keep our worthiness and we have to protect the integrity of our cultures. Don't get bullied.